When people think about legendary animals in the United States, Bigfoot usually tops the list. But our country's folklore is far richer than a single hairy figure in the woods. Across indigenous traditions, frontier storytelling, and even regional church lore, there are creatures that people still talk about. Not as fictional mascots, but as part of living belief systems. These aren't random internet myths. Many of them are rooted in spiritual traditions, ceremonial practices, or oral histories passed down for centuries. To this day, some are seen as protectors, others as omens, and a few as outright warnings to stay on the right path. Yet for all the stories, drawings, carvings, and alleged sightings, there's one thing they have in common: no verified footage. None. So, let's explore 10 legendary animals from U.S. history and cultural memory that people continue to believe in, creatures that have shaped identity, faith, and regional pride, even without ever stepping in front of a camera. Number 10. The Fearsome Critters. Back in the logging camps of the 19th and early 20th centuries, workers passed the time by swapping stories of bizarre animals they swore lived in the deep woods. These fearsome critters ranged from the hodag, a horned, lizard-like beast said to prowl Wisconsin, to the hide-behind, a creature that could never be seen because it was always hiding directly behind you. Other classics included the hoop snake, which could roll itself like a wheel, and the jackalope, which would later take on a life of its own as a Western tall tale. These stories weren't just entertainment. In many cases, they served as in-jokes, hazing new workers or keeping outsiders guessing about the dangers of the wild. But over time, certain critters became part of local identity. In Rhinelander, Wisconsin, for example, the hodag is a full-blown mascot. Despite countless postcards, parades, and even taxidermy specimens in small-town museums, there's never been a shred of real evidence for any of these critters. And that's fine, because they're not just about belief in the animal itself. They're about community, storytelling, and the colorful exaggeration that built America's frontier mythos. At number 9, we placed Agoa. West Virginia has its share of river legends, but one of the least known, yet most enduring, is the Agoa, described as a massive, turtle-like creature with the strength to overturn boats. It's tied to Monongahela River lore. Some tellings describe it as a guardian spirit, protecting certain stretches of water. Others paint it as a danger to those who disrespect the river. Either way, it's been part of local storytelling for generations. The Agoa doesn't have the pop culture footprint of the Loch Ness Monster or Champ from Lake Champlain, but among certain West Virginian communities, it's just as real. Fishermen claim to have seen enormous shapes beneath the surface, though no photographs or videos have ever confirmed anything unusual. Its staying power comes from two things: the river itself, which is both a lifeline and a mystery, and the fact that these kinds of water legends connect communities to their history. Like many aquatic legends, the Agoa sits somewhere between faith, fear, and folklore. In the Ozark Mountains, there's talk of a strange, supernatural deer, pure white, glowing in the moonlight, sometimes with antlers that sprout flowers or spread into branching trees. This is the Snawfus. Locals describe it as shy but not malicious, appearing suddenly on ridges before leaping impossibly long distances into the forest. In some tales, it can take flight, its antlers trailing mist or petals. The Snawfus likely started as a campfire story, but over time, it became part of Ozark identity, an emblem of the deep, mysterious woods. While many modern accounts treat it as a fun local legend, there are still people in rural Missouri and Arkansas who say they've seen something unusual that fits its description. No photos exist, and skeptics point to albino deer or light reflecting off normal antlers. But like all good folklore, the Snawfus is less about proving it exists and more about the thrill of knowing it might be out there. Among the Iroquois, the flying head is a fearsome spirit, a giant, disembodied head with long hair and razor-sharp teeth. In some versions, it has wings or uses its hair to snare victims. The legend is tied to ancient tribal conflicts, where betrayal and vengeance gave rise to a curse. The flying head roams, devouring anything in its path, serving as a warning against greed and broken oaths. While modern pop culture hasn't widely adapted the flying head, it remains a part of oral tradition in some native communities in New York and the Great Lakes region. Naturally, no footage exists. It's a spiritual entity, not an animal in the biological sense. But its place in American legend is secured as one of the most terrifying cautionary figures in indigenous lore. In Seminole tradition, the Stigini are owl witches, people who have transformed into giant, undead owls to feed on human hearts. Standing up to 9 feet tall, they appear at night, and their cries are said to be omens of death. The Stigini are not monsters in the casual sense. They're considered deeply evil, and talking about them casually is avoided in many Seminole communities. For Americans outside those traditions, the Stigini might sound like something from a horror movie, but for those raised with the stories, they're a part of spiritual reality. You'll find no real videos, and likely never will. Not just because of skepticism, but because some traditions hold that speaking their name can draw their attention. Lake Tahoe is known for its beauty, and for Washoe legends about the Ong, a massive bird with the body of an eagle and the face of a man. It's said to have once terrorized the lake, taking people away in its talons. Like many sky creature myths, the Ong could be linked to real birds of prey magnified by oral tradition. But the distinctly human-like face makes it a supernatural figure. Not just a big bird story. The Ong doesn't appear in tourist brochures, but within Washoe culture, it's a reminder of the lake's spiritual significance and the dangers of disrespecting it. The jackalope is part of Western Americana, a jackrabbit with antelope horns, often mounted on tavern walls in Wyoming and the Dakotas. The original specimens were made by taxidermists as pranks, but the story stuck. Some claim jackalopes can mimic human voices, especially singing. Others say they're only active during lightning storms. Today, jackalopes are mostly treated as a joke, but their staying power shows how a simple tall tale can grow into a pop culture icon. No real footage exists, and no one serious is looking for it, but you'll still find believers in roadside diners and gift shops across the West. From Algonquian folklore, the Wendigo is a malevolent spirit often associated with winter, famine, and greed. Descriptions vary. Sometimes a gaunt humanoid, other times a towering beast with antlers. In some traditions, it's a cautionary figure against cannibalism and selfishness. In modern horror, it's been reimagined into a monster, but its cultural roots are far more complex. There are still those who believe the Wendigo can possess humans, turning them into something inhuman. Naturally, no verified video exists, but its legend remains powerful across the northern US and Canada. The most famous American cryptid of them all, Bigfoot, is said to roam the forests of the Pacific Northwest and beyond. Described as a massive, hairy, bipedal primate, it's been spotted for decades. Dozens of blurry photos and shaky videos exist, but none are conclusive. Skeptics point to hoaxes and misidentified bears. Believers insist that with so much wilderness left unexplored, Bigfoot could easily hide. Beyond cryptid hunters, Bigfoot holds a special place in American culture. A blend of mystery, frontier spirit, and stubborn hope that something wild and undiscovered still walks among us. In Lakota and other Plains Indian traditions, the birth of a white buffalo calf is a sacred event. It's tied to the prophecy of the white buffalo calf woman, a spiritual figure who brought important teachings to the people. White buffalo are incredibly rare. Most are born brown. So when one appears, it's seen as a powerful omen of change, unity, or renewal. While white buffalo do exist physically, the belief here isn't about the animal being mythical. It's about the spiritual significance behind its appearance. No footage can capture that meaning. For many native communities, The white buffalo represents a promise that the world can return to balance.